Hey, so a question was brought up. I guess I'll have to go back and do an introduction. But a question was brought up. Not a question was brought up. I was watching someone's live, and they made the comment that there are only two genders, and we should stop teaching kids that there are more than two genders. That it's confusing. I said, okay, well, maybe I'm not educated well, so let me check and see. So I Google, and there were a couple of different answers, but just so that you get a general range as to what it is. One search said 74, I think, and the other one said 81 different genders. And so I was having a conversation, as always, with a friend. And the question came about, why do we need all of this? And my answer to that is, it's not that we need it, we create it. We create it because we keep crossing cultures, we keep crossing traditions, we cross so many different things, and we don't understand the fact that just because we have these ideas here in this country that we call America, there's another place where ideas about sex and gender and how you express masculinity and femininity are completely different. So when you get a person from that part of the world and you bring them over here and they go and they make a kid, then that kid has both of these cultures that they have the ideas from. And then something new comes out of it, or can come out of it, may come out of it, may not come out of it. It's a possibility, it's a potentiality. We create that with 8 billion people on this planet. We have nuance, and the fact that there are people in this world who do not still see nuance, and I know it's troublesome for those of us who grew up in a binary system. We were taught it's male and female, and that was never correct. They knew then when they taught us that there was at least, as far as sex is concerned, there was at least something called intersexed, what we call hermaphrodites or anthropomorphic people who have both sexual organs. They may not be working, and they come in a variety of different expressions. You can have a male organ and a female organ externally. You can have female organs internally and male organs externally. You can have female organs externally and male organs internally. There are so many different ways that we have to express sex. But because we don't see it when you're walking down the street, the person that walked by you could have been intersex. You have no idea what's in their pants. Absolutely no idea. Everybody doesn't look like male or female. And many of us, when we see people who may be intersex in public, we find ourselves staring because we know that this person does not fit into the binary that we have been taught. We find ourselves looking, trying to figure out, is that a man or a woman? All of us have done it. We've seen that one person we just quite couldn't figure out where they fell. Those people belong in society too. And we don't get the right to say that they don't exist. We don't get the right to say that they shouldn't exist. We don't get the right to erase them when it comes to putting terminology and creating information systems online and things like that, creating books. We have to include these people because they're part of the human race. We don't get to deny them humanity.
Could it possibly be that the person doesn't understand the difference between gender and sex?
Most often that's a lot of the time. That's a lot of the time that people don't understand the difference between gender and sex. Sex is something that you are born with. It is a biological condition. It is something that is your biology. When we talk about gender is expression that may fit your biology or may not fit your biology. When women in particular were up in arms about being called cisgendered, it was that same thing. These are terms that often professionals use when they're trying to help people understand their place in the world. These aren't terms that we call you. Like, I'm not going to call you the AFAB or the ACult or any of these other genders, even if you express it that way. It is simply to give information to the world that there is nuance. Go ahead.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When we're filling out applications, be it government, be for a job, it only says male, female, or prefer not to say.
Okay.
It don't say cisgender or these other 82 Baskin Robbins.
Right. Uh-huh.
So we need to. You feel like we need to incorporate.
I think that that's something for most jobs we don't really need to find out.
No, I agree, but these are the things. Not government, when you're filling out the applications for a driver's license, they ask that. So, do you feel like all of these other genders should be incorporated on the application?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't thought that far in advance because it's not something that affects me every day. So it's not something that's always on my mind. So I don't know how that process is going to work in the future. But I think of it this way. There was a time when, in order to get on an airplane, you didn't have to show ID. The world has changed. You have to show more than ID. You can't just get on a plane right now. You're going to be searched. You're going to be patted down. Your things are going to be searched through, all manner of things. You got to take off your shoes. You might have to take off your shirt. Some women have been forced to take off their head wraps. You might have to take your hair down. I've been made to take this off in the airport. So we have to understand the world. That's the one thing, and it's interesting to me how much we resist change, because that's the only thing that we can depend on. That's the only thing that you know is that you're going to experience is change. That's it.
Change is inevitable. But I feel that things are getting more complicated, and extra work is being made for me.
Let me ask from the opposite perspective. Let's say you're a person who has one of these other gender expressions that is not typical male or typical female, okay? And you have to go through life without people recognizing that there's a difference.
Okay.
You're going to be forced in to mainstream. People are going to try and categorize you as one or the other, and you may not feel on any given day that you feel either way. Now, here's the thing about that.
Why can't we just be people?
Pause. Because we don't let people be people. That's the problem. That is the problem. Because here's the thing about gender expression. It doesn't affect anybody but the person expressing it. Why is it that anybody else has opinions about what I choose to express as my gender?
Exactly, because I don't give a damn. But why complicate my life?
It's not about nothing about your life is complicated by people identifying new genders. Nothing about your life is complicated.
So what I'm confused is, whatever identity that they claim, what is it? What is the expectation of me interacting with them? Okay, now you say we got male, we got female. What am I supposed to do different other than treat you like I would treat anybody? Like
nothing. That's it. You would treat them like you would treat a person. That's the perfect thing. Thank you. That's it. You treat them like a person. Yeah, you got it. Some people think that they need to have conversation when they see somebody whose gender expression doesn't meet what they think it should meet. If you see a female who is expressing masculinity, you need to point that out and ask her questions. And I'm just trying to understand. Why do you need to understand? It's none of your business. But that happens every day. That happens every single day. People think that it is their right, particularly people who consider themselves straight. I'm going to say oftentimes, that is who I have gotten this question from mostly, think that when they get a conversation going with a gay person, that it is their time to ask all these questions. It's none of your fucking business. If you're not fucking the person of the same gender, why do you want to know? The internet is free. You can Google this. There are videos that will show you better than I can tell you. There's no reason I have to explain it to you. And I'm tired of educating people on it. Frankly.
I agree.
So if you spend, I'm 51, the better part of 50 years explaining yourself to people, because I think I've done another video where I talked about the fact that gay people have to come out, and they have to come out again and again and again and again and again and again. Everywhere you go, you have to come out again. Every new place you go, every new person you meet, you have to come out again in some shape, form, or fashion. It's a conversation in your head that you have to have with this person now. Because particularly if you don't have it, they get mad and feel disrespected that you weren't honest with them about who you were as a person. Yes, I've had that happen. I had that happen in high school. Tayshawn, remember? We had that conversation. People get mad about that. Why do you have feelings about me and what I do with the things in my pants? I've never understood that. But people jump in their feelings about it on any given Sunday. So to re-answer your question, it's not a complication. What it is, it's a clarification for the people who are experiencing this, who feel erased.
You know what? Thank you for sharing this, because I was able to put myself in their shoes. When you said you have to come out the closet over and over again, like I never wow.
You just said something that we don't do often, and I'm so glad you said it.
There's a lot of work being gay.
Listen, they don't. People think people do it to take the easy way out. What fucking? There's no easy way out. I don't understand how you think this is easy to get up and be hated by people who don't understand biology and sexuality for no fucking reason other than that they were told to. Not that they've had any experience with gay people. Not that they have it, anywhere near them or anything. Not that it's affecting their lives, but they think they need to have commentary on it and feel some sort of way about it. Well, I just don't want the kids. Your kids aren't even meeting gay people. And the ones that they meet are fully dressed and fully clothed and not fucking. What is your problem? You got stupid ass motherfuckers like Boosie on the internet whose daughter is gay, and he's constantly on the internet bashing gay people. His daughter was on there crying the other day, talking about how I'm tired. Keep my name out your mouth. I'm not even with you, bruh. I'm not even with you. Why do you keep bringing me up? For no fucking reason. You always got an opinion. He walked out of The Color Purple when he realized that two women were having a relationship in the movie. You fucktard. The movie was fucking this is the remake. You could have seen it on Broadway or read the goddamn book, you illiterate fucktard. But you didn't. So you took your daughter there and then you mad because two women are kissing. This is the bullshit that we have to put up with. People constantly in their feelings about something that does not affect them. And all of what really bothers me about it is the subtext of the fact that you really don't understand that all of that is manipulation and control used against you. You are still, as woke as you think you are, spouting a patriarchal idea. That idea doesn't exist in your ancestors. You were taught the notions of gender here in this white ass country. They didn't tell you that Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. They told you that he did, didn't they? So why the fuck do you think that they told you the truth about how many genders there are when they knew? What, all of a sudden they tell them the truth over here on this side, but over here they can lie? Are we going to pick and choose the people that we get? We going to listen to some of their lies, but not all of them? We going to just take some of them? We never going to investigate for ourselves. We never going to hit Google and ask and read with our own eyes the fact that there are 81 different types of ways that people identify their fucking sexuality. So you can leave people who aren't even affecting your life the fuck alone. Because ain't nobody walking up to you telling you I'm an AFAB or a two-spirited or a two... No, nobody's walking up to you saying that. Nowhere. It's not happening. Yes, it's a gender identification category that is in Native Americans. They didn't have this gay shit or this transsexual stuff. It was two-spirited, and they recognized it as a higher being because you were able to see from a male perspective and a female perspective. They were the glue in the community.
Explain to me.
I can't explain more than that. That's as much information. I haven't really done as much research, but it's information available. Two-spirited people. Yeah. It's crazy that we don't know these things. We take all of these white notions and think that they have told us the truth about ourselves. They haven't. There's more expression in you than that. There was one that I was reading that says that their gender expression changes according to the environment that they are in. There was one of the items on one of the gender one of the genders basically, was a person whose gender is determined by the environment that they are in. I guess if they are in an environment that is heavily female, maybe they feel more masculine, or vice versa. Maybe they join the female part. I don't know. I didn't read it that far. But there's more expression than we think there is. Why do we think there only needs to be two? If you can only see two and that's good for you, that's fine for you. Why do you think everybody else got to do that though?
Yeah, I'm gonna start checking, prefer not to say.
That's the
I
part.
just want to be recognized as a person.
Why do we need
Not a
other
person.
people to always constantly be telling us what the fuck it is that they're doing? Because see, here's the thing that we know. One of the things that most people are, many people anyway, we're visual. You tell somebody something, they start imagining it. So you start asking me questions about my sexuality, now you're envisioning me in bed in my mind. Why do you need to know? You could fuck me. And get your own fucking memories. I get tired of playing with people like that. Like, for real. Like, why do you need to know shit like that? That's weird to me. Get first-hand experience. It's really the only way that you're going to know what the fuck somebody prefer.
You might want to edit.
I'm not editing that.
Okay, so one of them women who really want to fuck you be like, I want to fuck you.
They know I'm gay.
No, but some people don't care now.
That's their business. There's some certain lines. Listen, a friend of mine came to stay over my apartment. I've known this woman for over 20 years. Her mother and my aunt went to high school together. She came over to my house. I had a king. You know, you gave me the bed. King size bed. I slept on the floor. You can have the whole fucking bed.
Wow.
I'm not sleeping in the bed with a woman. I don't like I don't like y'all that close to me like that. Yeah, I like that to hang heavy in the air. Because I get a whole bunch of women who think that men should want them. As much as women are always talking about the fact that men are always coming onto them and this, that, and the third, my experience, and I'm only talking about my experience, you get in my comments on my inbox talking bullshit about whatever. I'm talking about my experience. They very intrusive, always in my space, always pushing my boundaries, always crossing the line, which is why I keep y'all at bay. Most of the women, particularly the women in the house scene, I notice a lot of them keep their distance. Good, that's where I want you. I want you away from me. Y'all do too much when y'all get near me. You always got to touch me. Don't touch me. Why do you got to touch me? It's a pet peeve of mine. You can go about 8 to 20 videos that I have done online, and I'm talking about, I hate that shit. And it's women who think that it's okay to touch men, more so. If men do it to women, it's automatically a fucking sexual assault. Women are allowed to do it to men for some reason because women constantly do it. We could be in conversation. You got to touch my arm. You got to get the fuck off me.
Okay, can you pause for 1 second?
I like it. Hey, so we don't talk enough, and I know this is a wild segue, but the conversation off camera deems it so. We don't talk enough about how young men are sexually assaulted when they're young.
And it happens a lot. Literally,
A lot.
every man I've ever been with, every guy I've ever went out on a date with, every last one of them by the age of 16. It starts around 15. As early as 15 by a woman over 30.
Oh.
I hear a lot about, the babysitter, which is normally in a 5-year range. No more than 10. It's been a babysitter, but yeah. But none of those men ever felt like they were assaulted.
And that is the thing.
And that's because society
tells us that we had a sexual experience and that we should check it as a notch on our belt. Because the other part that doesn't get talked about is, you said 15, 8, 5. I am not kidding. So what you don't, and remember, we had that conversation about how you can't legislate biology, right? So now you have a kid who's 5, 6, sexually awakened because it's not sex they're after. They're after a good feeling. They're after attention or something like that, right? It's not that they know what sex is or anything like that. It's either the good feeling, and they have usually mixed feelings about it. It's usually guilt and pleasure. You know you're not supposed to be doing it because of the way that it's done. People are pulling you away from everybody else to do it and telling you to be quiet and y'all, you know, all of that. And then you also have the pleasure, and you have to wrestle with that. And what happens is you offend before you become an adult. And that's where it's caught. Offend. Meaning you do what was done to you. And when the man does it, that's when everybody gets up in arms. Very few people say, well, how did that come about? Did you have something happen? It's too late then. Now you have 3 different, because who started her? Who made her think that this was okay? Somebody started that. It's not a conversation that we want to have because we like to have victims. We like to have the most popular victim. Women are a more popular victim. I heard this woman saying, "Oh, well, most of the what she said, there's something like 95% of all the crimes against women are done by men." What percentage of crimes against men are you think are done by men?
Are you asking me?
Dead ass.
What percentage of crimes
against men are done by men? Yeah, we don't ask ourselves that question. That's a question we also need to ask ourselves, because we always like the most popular victim, the opposite victim, the most obvious victim, right? You can put a man against a woman, and the woman is the victim because she's the weaker sex, as we tell ourselves, right? So that's an obvious victim. But when it's a man against a man, you don't have an obvious victim. Just like men are taught that sexual experience that they had first is a conquest for them, men are also taught that if you had a fight with a man, it was just a fight with a man. It's not you were assaulted by somebody who was bigger than you. See how the language, how the language makes a difference? The language makes a difference. That's why I like language. Because that changes the entire lens on what it's the same action. It's the same action. But here we are calling it something different because we don't have an obvious victim.
Well, boxing, they have weight classes. In boxing, they have weight classes.
Right. To make sure that big guys don't beat up on little guys. Not to say that that's always going to be the way that it turns out, but that's for that reason. You have to make it fair. Which is why you have female sports where females do stuff, and you have male sports where males do stuff. To make it fair. We don't ask ourselves, there's a lot of questions we don't ask ourselves. We let the narrative be pushed to us and we accept it. Women are always the victim of men, but men are also mostly the victim of men. Now, men don't like to say that because it makes you feel weak. But most men have been victimized by another man. Any man who has had violence perpetrated against him, 98%, it was by a man. 2% by a woman. Not including your mother or grandmother or aunt, somebody like that growing up. Not including that. Outside of that, maybe 2% is by women, maybe 5%. Violence is violence. When we don't see it from a human perspective, we all limit ourselves to the binary vision that has been fed to us. We have to escape the binary vision. That is part of escaping, as some of you like to say, the Matrix. That is part of being, as some of you like to say, woke. You have to stop seeing the binary. The binary is what you were taught. The binary is not what is actually in effect. Do you think that in a universe where there are billions upon billions upon billions of stars, planets, galaxies, and things like that, you think that this binary system is something that is throughout the fucking universe? For those of you who believe in God, you thought God was that limited? That he didn't know what nuance was? You worship a God who doesn't know what nuance is? I think that's weird. Which is why I have such a problem with the God that a lot of people worship. Because you have limited God. The way I talk, people often think that I don't believe in God. It's not that I don't believe in something that was bigger than me, that created all this or set it into motion. I believe that there is a system to all of this. But I don't believe in the bullshit that y'all do. That to me sounds crazy. That is another weapon of oppression that is being used against you, and you really don't understand it. And I'm not about to get into it because it's way too much to get into. And I don't like having to explain minutia. You should accept that there's nuance in the world. There are thousands of varieties of fucking everything. Why not people? I don't understand how we allow people to tell us for our entire lives that there are only two types of motherfucking people. We have seen people come out of wombs with 4 legs, 2 heads, 3 arms, 2 hearts, 2 brains, 2 tongues. My brother, that thing that hangs at the back of your throat, what is that thing called? Whatever it's called at the back of your throat, he has 2 of them. I don't know why. He's a weirdo. My sister was born with 6 fingers on each hand. I have no clue why. Another weirdo. I was born slip jointed in my arms and legs. Another weirdo. That is nuance. Every picture you see has nuance. The fact that we don't accept nuance and we say things like, oh, there's only 2 genders, we need to stop teaching that, that's confusing, you sound uneducated. A simple Google search will tell you that that information that you just said is incorrect. And before you get on here and talk to thousands of people, you should check the information coming out of your mouth. Now, me too, which is what brought me here to this conversation. Because I get tired of hearing people say shit like that. It's time that you get your thinking off of that. If you are what you call a straight heterosexual man or woman, then the other genders have nothing to do with you. It's not something for you to get in your feelings about. It's nothing for you to worry about. You shouldn't even be talking to your kids about it until they come and tell you what theirs is. They'll come and tell you. And that is what most parents hate. That they don't have control over that. They can't make sure that their kid is straight. They can't make sure that you're going to marry a man or a woman. They don't have control over that. A lot of parents have, not all parents, obviously. If anything I say don't apply to you, let it fly or fucking keep scrolling. I'm not going to explain everything in detail. I only have my perspective to speak from, so fuck y'all. So we need to understand that there's nuance in the world and stop trying to stay on a course of right or left, up or down, in or out. That is not for you. We are here in the middle. None of us are at one extreme or another. There are certain conditions that would put you and make you turn a whole different way and make you do things that you think you would never do. Those conditions can be created for you. We see it right here in this planet, in this time. Not far from here, there are conditions that a whole bunch of men have been put in that make them be intimate with men in ways they never thought that they would. So just the fact that you think that your gender expression or whatever is static It's interesting to me. A lot of people did. A lot of people did. And then the conditions of their life changed and they found out differently. So I hope this is the last time I even have to address anything like this, because it's annoying to me that somebody who is a pretty intelligent person hasn't done that just that bit. And what that tells me is you like to stay ignorant. You enjoy your ignorance because it gives you a sense of superiority. You get to put down somebody, and that is something else that we have been taught and we practice here with a ooh. We're vicious with it. We've been taught that pecking order shit, and we take that shit to a whole new level. As people who have been pecked on, we find relief in pecking on somebody who we believe is lower than us. And for black men, it's gay men. Oftentimes, not all the time, but sometimes it is. It's one of the people in your lower pecking order. Somebody you don't want to be. Just like white people know. If white people don't know anything else, you ask any of them, do they want to be black? Most of them will say no. Black people also know that. What they don't want to be. A black man does not want to be a gay man. He was taught that. And we don't see how damaging that is. Because you lose allies in your fight when you alienate people. And you never know who's going to have to save your ass. People think that if you don't follow the norm, whatever that is, whatever that binary system is, that somehow makes you less of what. For men, men often think it makes you less of a man if you're with another man, which is interesting to me because I thought that would make you twice as much man. But I don't know nothing because I don't understand how it makes you less of a man to be with a man. But that's what people think in a weird way. If you could take a dick in your ass, you got to be the manliest nigga I know. That's some painful ass shit. That's one of the most manly things I can fucking think of. If you're able to take that, you're a real man. Never thought of it from that perspective, have you?
Honey, when the moment you said that's some painful ass shit, I was about to say, well, why the fuck y'all doing it? But you said don't ask no questions, but you said something.
What do you mean? If just like anything, let me answer you. Just like anything, after the pain is pleasure.
Honey, I tried that shit once.
And you will never try it again, right?
And I said, hell
exactly.
To the no.
A real man can take that.
So, you know what?
A real man can take that.
Motherfucking nigga, honey, because...
no, I ain't say I was taking it. I'm talking about it in general. Let's be clear.
Edit that, please.
And we not editing. I'm good with all of that. If you think I do or don't, you don't know unless you fucking me. So, I just like to talk from the third person and give people an opportunity to wonder. Since y'all like to ask such irritating fucking questions. Get tired of explaining. You know, it's yeah. Listen, so let me just wrap this up. You know what I should actually do?
I got a few minutes. Pour me a drink, honey.
Listen, have at it, because actually, let's read some of these just so that y'all know that I am not bullshitting when I say this. Just so that y'all know that actually, okay. Oh, we down to because I was scrolling. The one that it stopped on is trigender. TRIGNDER. Trigender is a gender identity that refers to people who experience three genders, male, female, and something else that is neither of those two. This third gender can be a combination of both male and female, somewhere in between the two, or something entirely different. Trigender people may identify as any combination of genders, including but not limited to agender, bigender, gender fluid, or pangender. Not all trigender people experience the same three genders in the same way. We have been taught to express masculinity and femininity in certain ways. Anybody who expresses it outside of that is seen as foreign to us, and oftentimes. So what's another one here? Oh no, I'm not going to try to pronounce. Oh no, I'm not going to try to pronounce that either. These are Navajo, Indian, Blackfoot. They have genders from all these different places. Neutrois, 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 was a gender identity first described in 1995. It is made up of the French term neuter, meaning neutral, and trois, meaning three. It is used by people to explain that they are of a non-binary, unidentified gender or no gender at all. What I didn't know is neither. There's a category for neither. And that's a gender identity. There's one called Metis, M-E-T-I-S, and that's from Nepal. Metis are from the Nepalese culture. They are people who display femininity in a masculine body. They have been officially recognized as a third gender in Nepal since 2007.
That's what.
Yeah, there's a couple of documentaries on that. Maverick, M-A-V-E-R-I-Q-U-E, maverick. A maverick is a person who identifies traditional gender roles and expectations. Mavericks may identify as being of their own gender, but not male or female. Unlike other classifications, mavericks are not agendered, as they believe them to be of a distinct gender that does not fit on a spectrum of male to female. They are often creative, independent thinkers, and nonconformists. I didn't know that was a thing. And here is the one you and I were talking about earlier, intersex. And people often, this is also a sex, like male and female. Intersex is a sex. The term intersex describes people who are born with genitals of either sex characteristics that does not conform to normative definitions of male or female. Intersex people may choose to identify as male, female, or non-binary. And that doesn't even go into the variety of ways that the genitals can be expressed physically on the body. Now here's something called intergendered. Never heard of this one either. Intergender is a term used to describe people who have both male and female characteristics, or who fall somewhere in between the two genders. Intergender people may identify as neither male nor female, or they may identify as a mix of both genders. Hermaphrodite. This was one of the first big words I learned in high school. I used to call people hermaphrodites in high school. I used to love it. They had no idea what I was talking about. Hermaphrodite is an outdated and now generally disavowed term used to describe people who are intersex. Generally, this term is now strongly discouraged and often used to offend intersex people. The term intersex is now more acceptable. Okay.
So when you read intersex, that's what I said.
It's an old word.
Like, wait a minute. Okay, so
yeah, I didn't know that. Gender variant. A gender variant person is someone whose gender expression does not conform to traditional ideas about how men and women are supposed to look and behave. This could be a person who simply expresses their gender in a creative or non-traditional way. A lot of these sound very similar to me. It just sounds like they're rearranging words to me. This is to my binary taught ears. So please, leave that out. That's just the way that it sounds to me. It sounds very similar, many of them. There's gender nonconforming. A person who is gender nonconforming does not identify with the traditional gender roles assigned to their biological sex.
You know what? This is too much. Why we just won't listen to Aretha Franklin?
What you mean?
Just give each other respect.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? That would be the perfect way to alleviate what people think is a problem.
Because
disrespect
I don't care
everyone
about all of this.
Like, right.
I don't care.
And again,
so why?
A lot of these are technical terms that you aren't even going to encounter in your lifetime. Nobody's going to come up to you, hi, I'm the demi-gendered. Nobody does that. And people often, because we're people, try to keep it as simple as possible. So most people don't even use a lot of these terms. They find whichever, like I'm gender nonconforming, and they'll just say that to mean that they don't either want to express gender or they don't want to express either one. They get to choose, or they choose not to express either. So it's a lot of it is that, and I get that. And this, again, it's just nuance. This is just a okay, you went from 6 to 6.1 to 6.2 to 6.3 to 6.4. Like, to me, it's that. It's those little dots in between all of the stuff that we already know. We know male and we know female. What messed me up was when they started saying that there's a third expression. And because I've been taught binary my entire life, I can't even imagine what that would look like. You know what I mean? But other cultures obviously have, because they have more creativity and they allow more things to go on. They allow more expression of, whatever it is people feel. So this is just part of the world changing. For us to fight it is so, it doesn't leave us in a good place. To just know that they exist, these people are out there. You may pass them on the street. Nobody's asking you to invite them over for dinner. Like, treat them like a person, like you said earlier. All you got to do is treat people humanly, and I think they'll respect you just for that. A poorer gender. That's a completely new one. A poorer gendered people are those who do not identify with any specific gender. A lot of them keep starting off with that, right? Nuance, 6.1 to 6.2. They may feel that they have no gender or that their gender is undefined. So it's neither male nor female, and they don't know what it is. This can be due to a variety of reasons, such as feelings like one does not fit into any existing gender categories, or feeling like all existing gender categories are equally valid and none stand out as a feeling of more right than the others to that person. I've never even thought of that. That's not something that I had to deal with when it came to my sexuality thing. I never had to consider whether how I felt as a person and what my gender expression was didn't even fit on the scale of what there was available. Can you imagine what that must be like for somebody to go, you know what, none of this fits my life. I don't feel like I want to emulate any of this. That's got to be terrifying. I can't even imagine. A Leah gender.
Interested to see how they are living their lives.
Like humans, same way. They just find somebody who's probably the same expression, the same type of expression or lack thereof, and doesn't. Because I think a lot of people. This woman said this to me many years ago when I was working for a big insurance company here in New Jersey. I forget what conversation we were having, but it obviously involved sexuality. And what she said to me that day stuck in my head. She said, I don't think of myself as bisexual. She said, I do like women, I do like men, but I don't think of myself as bisexual. I just think of myself as sexual. And a lot of people think, I think more people think like that than don't. You know what I mean? And like I said earlier, even for me, under certain conditions, if you put me in certain conditions, I guess I would have to, if I want to have sex with another person, there's only women available, I would have to have sex with a woman. I would have to try that and see if I could do that. Oh, I'm sorry, I threw up in my mouth a little bit. Ooh, hold on a second, y'all. He was over here dying. And I'm over here like a verklempt, like, ugh.
Do you know the first thing that came to me?
What?
The book.
Oh. Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, oh, I would love to be a fly on that wall.
Yeah, hopefully there will never be no wall. Because, yeah.
Ooh,
but what I'm saying is, under certain conditions, anything is possible for anybody. I'm not exempt from that, is what I'm saying. Under certain conditions, things that you never thought you would do, you'll do. I have a friend, and her brother was murdered. Her brother was murdered by his girlfriend's 19-year-old son. I don't think that 19-year-old thought that was something that he would ever do. I don't know what the conditions were that created the situation where that was something that he felt he should or had to do. I can't even imagine. I don't want to imagine. It's none of my goddamn business. So, again, I say, you don't know what a situation can change. So, all that to say, treat people well. treat people humanly. That's the extent. If you don't get anything else out of this, because I know I was kind of all over the place. I tried to state it, talking about these different types of genders from around the world, as much as possible. But we get, oftentimes when we hear stuff like this, we get caught up in, oh, I'm not learning that, I'm not doing that. I said to myself, I'm not going through all these mental gymnastics of trying to memorize all this stuff. I come from a binary generation. We were taught male and female. Most of the people with whom I interact identify as such or some variant thereof, something that is identifiable to me. Many of these aren't identifiable to me in any type of way. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't interact with them. It just means that I don't have any knowledge of them because it wasn't something that I was taught. That being said, I'm going to treat you as human as I possibly can. You give me respect, I'm going to give you respect. It doesn't matter what number on here you pick or decide. It's none of my business. I really don't care what you do with the things in your pants unless I'm trying to get into them. I kept saying, like, people, we worry too much about that. Even the thing with the drag queens reading to the kids in school, parents were up in arms about that. I really don't understand that. You won't take time to come to read to your kids in school, but you're upset that somebody else is. And then, well, they drag men dressed as women. If it was a clown, would that make it better? Because it's the same thing. A man dressed up in makeup with funny clothes on. That's how kids think. You all think the deviant way. Kids don't think that way. They think that this is a person, and they probably ask them, are you a clown or are you a whatever? And the person will have to explain. But people who go into schools to read to children know that already. They have an explanation ready because they know that they're going to talk to children, and children are curious. So the fact that you are ignorant and won't allow it or think that there's something wrong with it has nothing to do with the fact that it's taken away from the education of these children. A lot of times, human interaction outside of their teacher and their parents, a lot of these kids don't know too many other good adults. They need to know that there are good adults in the world. And if you let the drag queens read to them, then they know that there are good drag queens in the world. And they could maybe teach you something. Y'all stop worrying about shit that ain't got nothing to do with you. It's basically the gist of it. That if it has nothing to do with you, mind your business about it. Your life will be easier, I promise. That's a promise that I can make. If you stop worrying about shit that has nothing to do with you or none of this, if you are a man and identify as a male and that you are heterosexual, this has nothing to do with you. Mind your fucking business. If you are a woman and you identify as heterosexual and female and everything like that, it's congruous, you're a cisgendered female, then mind your fucking business. It has nothing to do with you. Let the people whose arena this is handle this arena. Nobody's trying to push it in your face. What we're trying to do is have public discussions so that there aren't people erased and people who are left out and people who are marginalized. Y'all know what marginalized is because if you're watching this, you probably the same color as me. You know what marginalized is. So let's get more people away from being marginalized so we can operate better as a society. How about that? A woman said to me today, I was in the park walking with a friend of mine, and she was talking about, she was the head of a hospital division or something. And she was talking about how when she got there, a lot of the people liked her. Like she ran like a division of like 500 people. And they liked her because what she did, one of the things she did when she got there was she brought everybody's salary up to where it should be, where everybody was equal. Because everybody was like kind of all over the place. What some jobs do is if you bid, they say how much you want to make. If you low bid it and say I want 40,000, they give you the 40,000, but people on your same floor doing your same job might be making 60. So what she did, she took a look at all of that and brought everybody up to the same level. We need to do that with information. And we don't do that with information. That's what we're trying to do. When you see information like this come out, we're trying to make it available so everybody has access to it. You ain't got to memorize it. But if you do a Google search because your kid comes home and says this to you, then you don't have to sound like a blithering idiot. Because your kids aren't going to necessarily come home with the gender expression that you thought. I've had many friends who I've had to have this conversation with. And for those of you who are the most homophobic, I suggest you buckle your seatbelt. Because for some reason, y'all call it right to yourselves. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up. I'm really gonna get out of here. And once again, it's a devious mod. I'm the Brick City Monk. And I think if you've gotten this far, thank you. You are truly ride or die. You can always email me at imrealdevious@gmail.com, or, leave a comment down here up under the video. But there was a video that I watched the other day, and I hope I can go back and find it. If I do, I'll go back and I'll put the link in the description of this video. This woman wasn't ready. She really wasn't ready. And I don't even think the thing was on here. I didn't look for it. I think the name is Ethereum. I think it's called Ethereum. Her daughter came home and told her, let me Google this before I give out wrong information. Hold up. Give me 1 second. Oh, that's not where I should be doing it. I should be doing it from here. My apologies. Ethereum. I hope that's it. I think I'm close. Don't quote me. I'm gonna see if I can find the video so that I can put the right name in here. But with whatever this category is, her daughter came home and told her mother she was. The explanation for this category, and again, I don't know if Therian is the right name, but the explanation for this category is she identifies as an animal. Now, she had noticed her daughter with making like a mask, like an animal mask, and her daughter was like trying to wear it because her daughter wanted to like come out as this thing and start being an animal all the time, like going to school as the animal. So if you think the worst thing that your kid can be is gay, guess what? If you think not, and I don't mean to say worse like Therian is worse. If you think the most outlandish thing as far as something that you have never heard of or wouldn't expect to come from your child, there's more out there. You better learn Nuance real quick, because these kids are getting it. They have decided they don't have to be anything that you told them, and they go bring something new home to you. So again, I love you for watching. I thank you for listening. I'm sorry, but that tickles me. Because you got people who have kids and you never know what you're going to get. I think that is the most crapshoot thing that you could ever do is have a kid. You have absolutely no idea what's going to come out of your body. No, at all. You don't know if the thing that comes out of your body is going to shoot up a school one day. You don't know if it's going to join a gang and become a mass murderer. You don't know if it's going to be president. You have no idea. It's like such a crapshoot. But good luck to y'all. I'll see y'all next time. I'm Devious Survivor, the Brick City Monk.